Greetings, true believers. It is Rob here, and I am just going to be doing a review for The Amazing Spider-Man, which of course came out on Tuesday. Still rocking my 3D glasses from that movie. I guess one of the benefits to working in a movie theater is you get to choose the 3D glasses you want, so I am rocking my Katy Perry 3D glasses. Oh yeah, that is pretty sweet. Probably will never see the Katy Perry movie, but I will see Spider-Man. In fact, I will see Spider-Man again. Mostly because I can get in for free. So yeah, right away warning, I'm going to try not to spoil too much of the movie for you. However, if you haven't seen the movie yet and you don't want to know anything about it at all, you probably won't want to watch this video. So yeah, warning now. Anyways, on to the actual review itself. I guess I will just start off with some of the basics of the movie. Basic plot, if you haven't seen trailers already, kid gets bit by a spider, Dr. Connors becomes the Lizard while trying to heal his arm and tries to turn the rest of the world into a lizard like him, and Spider-Man stops him. Okay, the actual visual look of this movie was awesome, particularly the use of webbing in it. I returned to a more traditional Spider-Man view where Spider-Man has the web shooters and he has little cartridges and he puts them in, not the view of the other Spider-Man movies where webbing is produced naturally. And what they did with the webbing was really cool. He uses it quite a bit more in combat and for sensing things than he did in the other movies. There was one scene in particular where he's kind of like wrapping the lizard up in webbing and he's kind of like crawling around him, kind of like you would see Spider-Man do in the TV show, in the comic books, that sort of thing. Very cool. Yeah, definitely a lot better visually, both in the webbing, in the web slinging, in the look of everything else. I would say that I didn't particularly like the way the lizard looked. I prefer a more traditional lizard look where he has a bit more of a snout, I guess, to him, a bit more of a longer nose. And I also didn't particularly like the way Lizard was significantly more conscious in this. In the comic books, Lizard is a bit more rage-filled. Here, he's more mechanical, more methodical. It furthers the story quite a bit more because it's kind of what they want in the story. But again, I prefer them the other way. However, minor point on that visually. The other thing, I guess, kind of visually that was weird is that they really went out of their way to show where Spider-Man's webs go. In comic books, TV shows, Spider-Man just kind of webs and they go somewhere and you have no idea where. Maybe it's clouds, I don't know, satellites. Maybe he's webbing the satellites. The cartoon from the 60s are particularly bad for this. Here they really went out of their way to show where he connects his webs. At one point in the movie, they actually have a bunch of cranes line up for him so that he can web sling all the way. Kind of thought it was a little bit cheesy, kind of unnecessary. The whole scene was kind of people helping Spider-Man, which was, I guess, a throwback to the other three movies with Tobey Maguire. So, visually though, I would definitely give this one a 9 out of 10 because it is excellent on the looks. The actual acting themselves, pretty good. Sally Field and Martin Sheen, obviously great choices, great actors. I think they both did an excellent job. Possibly the best acting or the best role overall was the person who played Gwen Stacy, which is Emma Stone. She did a really good job of creating kind of a sweet, intelligent, but still not losing the fact that she's still a teenage girl. There's a scene where she's kind of trying to get her dad to leave because he has Peter in the room with her and she starts like trying to come up with something. She's like, pull out the old time of the month excuse and cramps and bloating, and dad's like, okay, I'll leave. So yeah, that was really good. Captain Stacy was done pretty well too. A little bit younger than he is depicted in the comic books. In fact, I have the comic book here, kind of concerning them. In the comic book themselves, Captain Stacy is depicted as being kind of older, gray hair. In fact, you can see his death here. Spoiler there. For those who haven't seen, he actually dies in this movie. And it's one of the things about the movie that I didn't like, because in the comic book, his death was actually by Dr. Octopus. And I actually prefer that to the Lizard. However, again, a very minor point. Very small thing. What I would have done if I was directing these films is I would have not killed him off this movie. I would have done it in the next film. You could have had Dr. Octopus, or you could have had the Green Goblin. He could have died then. And then the third and final film, if you were to do a trilogy, would be the actual death of Gwen. I think that would have kind of wrapped it up kind of nicely. That way they wouldn't even had to have brought Norman Osborn in as the Green Goblin to the third movie if they wanted to have another villain, say Dr. Octopus or whoever. In the second one, they would have kept the continuity with the comics, which weird people like me really like. Besides that, the other things that I didn't particularly like about this film was the treatment of his parents. They were a little more involved than traditionally in the comics and in the TV shows. Their work with the spider was kind of weird. It was almost like they caused Spider-Man's accident because they had worked with spiders, or they somehow had some sort of forethought that they were going to try to infect him. Uh, Strange, unnecessary, not really important, but for some reason they really wanted to flesh out his parents in this. Uncle Ben's death was, the fundamentals were there. It was done a little bit differently than it's been done in the past. Minor point. It was fine the way it was done. Interesting to note that he doesn't actually say the line, "with great power comes great responsibility." He kind of talks to this Peter about the speech about if you have the ability to help people, it's your responsibility to. I mean, I can see why they did that. It's kind of become cliche now to use the "with great power comes great responsibility" line. So the acting, I would probably give about a 8 or 7. Story, I'd probably give about a 6 out of 10. Overall for Spider-Man, it was a good film. Pretty good acting, some little bit of storyline plots, and things with the lizard that I didn't particularly like. I would say overall I would give it a 7 out of 10. Well, until I talk to you on this Wednesday, so say we all.